Here we are. Welcome, everybody.
Greetings. You
Good
have
evening.
Yakarious here, and
Lady hashtag Sparkle. We're live today.
and our guest is Mr. and Mrs. James Paul. You guys want to say good evening or greetings to the audience or anything
Good
real quick?
evening.
Hello, everyone.
Okay.
How's everybody?
Thanks for having us. We're excited.
I
Yeah.
have to admit that this was like a semi-Christmas feeling for me, man. The excitement that I've been feeling all day. Like, it's been leading up, but for today, for some reason, I feel like Christmas or birthday or something. It's like I just been waiting for this day. I honestly mean that.
Good.
That's the respect that I have for you from what I just seen of you guys. So I just have to mention that out loud and record it. Um,
Well, thank you. We feel the same way too. We see you all out and about. We know what you're about, and we're just thrilled that you even thought of us.
Yes.
So thank you.
Yes. This is humbling.
really?
Oh,
Yeah.
Well,
It's humbling.
so, let me just speak about energy. You want to speak, I'm going to talk about Mr. Paul, but I'm going to give you an opportunity to maybe um, find out how you two remember meeting each other.
oh yes, Olivia and James. James and Olivia. I actually met these two this lovely couple in the field. When I say in the field, it's like boots on the ground.
Mhm.
We were involved in a very vocal local organization who we were meeting about childcare. We were meeting about school board. This is even before James was on the school board. So when he ran for school board, I already knew that he was definitely about that life. He was already in there. So I met them at a local organization, and we were vocal, and we would show up at different places and rally together and everywhere. That's what I remember meeting you all. I don't know if you have the same memory of meeting me.
That's correct. We met, like you said, boots on the ground. We met being, doing things in this community that would better our community. At the end of the day, that's what we're about. And it's good to see that we weren't alone. You know what I mean? It was great to see that. So yeah, that's how we met. And that's a good thing.
Yes, that's a good thing.
And I
So,
remember you saying that you really hadn't voted before. And like James was one of the first individuals that you got out there and put your voice out by voting. So we appreciate you. We'll always remember that.
Aw, that's so true, Olivia. You're right. I haven't voted in like almost 20 years. And
Mhm.
being that I was working shoulder to shoulder in the field with you two, and James was really out there. So I'm like, he running for school board. It makes sense for me because I'm seeing him advocate for children on every level. So yeah, definitely. That was definitely a good feeling. And then I ended up running to like
Yeah.
beautiful. So yes, James, you definitely were my political inspiration in this region. I have to give that to you.
And that's
That's so.
good.
That's.
That's
I
good to
didn't
see.
even know it was gonna come up to the surface. You see how?
yeah.
Wow.
So that's one of the things we find each and every time when we ask that question, that it brings up memories that, wow, and you can put it together real quick.
Sure.
For me, I came up at a time, we met at a time and really started connecting when she was running for city council
Yes.
here in Utica. And as a result, I found myself with my boots on the ground trying to support her at first. Um, you know, and then there was just invitations to a lot of community events even after. And I just started developing the appetite to go. The energy was something positive. And we needed that. So
Sure.
as a result, I ran to this power couple right here, right?
Yeah.
This is what we're trying. We say power couple. We've interviewed nothing but power couples. What do we mean by that? We mean that not only do you have statute here in Utica, New York, Central New York, but you also represent power because of your longevity. That's where our power is for me, just my opinion. As a
Yes.
couple, our power comes from being able to stand the test of time, cope with everything that comes in another person, same commitment. You know, that's the, and I know it was real energy. And the same thing with you, Mrs. Paul. Always love, get up and give me a hug. So just if you don't know it, how good that is, for some people that value it, I do. I appreciate it. And that's my memory of you. I was telling her that today. That's what, that's the respect. In addition to what you're doing, we're going to let you get to the school board. Because she mentioned it. Now, we don't want to leave the viewers, so we're going to give you opportunity. We're going to revisit that. But some icebreaker, maybe?
Icebreaker. Oh, yeah, that's right. So we have an icebreaker question for you. And it seems like we don't even need an icebreaker. You guys are like naturals here. Like, have you been here before?
No, they're naturals, right?
Yes.
We've heard Mr. Paul speak, right, Jake? We've heard you speak a few times. Campaigning.
I appreciate
No
it.
problem with that. He likes to talk.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, but
No,
it's
we
good
said
when you're good at it too,
That's
right?
right. That's right. So I just want to tell you that you guys don't realize it, but to me, you're like local celebrities. I know y'all just so humble and stuff, but so here's the icebreaker. If you were a superhero with an unusual power, what would it be and how would you use it to navigate everyday challenges?
wow.
Mhm.
Mind control. I'd love to be able to help people see what I see in our community. I'd love to be able to help people understand that what we're doing isn't about us per se. It's about us as a community. We do what we do because we can. And if I didn't have to go through the whole song and dance with people before we get them to, to kind of believe in what it is we're doing, I think we can speed that along. I think we can speed the connection and the community growth along.
Okay.
I think if I was a superhero, I would just have people see the good, the positive in people first. So I would just take control through eyes and make them see people, the good, before they jump to conclusions about others.
I like that.
Mm. What about you?
What about me?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I should have seen that one coming. If I was a superhero, I would probably want to be able to clean up all of the stuff that's in the water, the pollution and things like that, in about 2 hours. Like just be able to reset the whole planet and clean it up and put everything as an original state.
Now that's
Okay.
important. Now that's a good one.
Right. So for me, everything that everyone said works. We need everything done. There's so many issues, amongst the people. Not just our people, just in humanity. That needs to be done. I think, and this is based on my relationship that I've been having for the last 3 years. What I've learned, because I put a lot of frustration and anger into this relationship. And what I've learned is that there's a lot of that going on. We bring a lot of frustration, especially if, for a young woman, the father of her children may have left or she may have been cheated on or whatever. Now the next guy has, he's going to go through some stuff. It's not going to be a clean slate for him. She's going to be on guard. And, so we just bring a lot of frustration. I was bringing it for other reasons. And what I've learned is that love is the answer, right? To apply love, because that mean spirit, that frustration, it just perpetrates it, right? It just escalates it. The only thing that's going to put that fire out is love, And so when I realized that, without even saying that, I'm just going to try the way I respond to things and approach things. I'm going to try this love thing. And I tell you, it sounds corny. It sounds corny when you hear people saying it, but it works. And I think that if people have more love, if we were capable to do that, we have so much anger and hate amongst us. Like, we have, I say it all the time. we have to, I see a young black man, I have to look at him. I said it shouldn't be like that. I have to look him up there, make sure he ain't reaching, he ain't packing, he ain't crazy. I'm afraid of myself, right? That's what he's saying. So if I was a superman, it would be love.
Oh,
That's the short version.
okay. Okay, all right. I was wondering, I'm like, hold up now.
I do a little backstory. All right.
Okay.
So, guys, do you want to ask the first question?
What is the first question? I mean, the first question for me was, when did you all meet?
Mm-hmm.
When did it all start for you? When did you two know that this is my forever person?
Mm.
Well, believe it or not, it will be 35 years of being together.
Say, well, I wish I could put some
March 4th.
bells right.
Oh,
35.
August.
Well, August. Okay, yeah. Let me step
Wow.
back. It'll almost be 35 years this coming August.
It'll be 35 in August. Yes.
We have been married now 19 years on March 4th.
Yep.
So our anniversary is coming up. But we have been together for a long time.
That is a long time.
We've been together longer than we've been apart.
Wow. That's
That's,
very
you know,
interesting.
that's different. That, you know, your world is different when you've known someone longer than you haven't known them.
Mhm.
You know, if you put it in perspective.
Right. We met in Rochester. So he was just coming home from the Army. I was just graduating college.
Mhm.
And my girlfriend said, "Hey, you're home. Let's go out. Let's go hang out." And I met him in a nightclub.
Oh.
And you want to tell the story or should I tell it?
Nightclub.
Chivalry isn't dead. And I say that because we're in the club and I'm there by myself, something I never do. But some reason I was out that night, I was by myself.
Wow.
And she's out with her girlfriends, and they're near where I was standing. And this guy comes up and he's harassing them, you know, to dance, whatever. And I just kindly step over and said, "Listen, my man, they with me." And that, you know, and he walked off, and that was that. You know, and then I asked her girlfriend to dance. I danced with one of her girlfriends. Asked the other one, I danced with her. They end up leaving. That was that. But I talked to her before we left, and we've been together since then.
Wow.
Okay.
Didn't even dance with her.
Didn't
Yeah.
even
Funny. So I have a question. You said you've been together 35 years, but been married 19. So what does that leave? About 16 that you were together before that, right?
Yep.
Mhm,
You got married. Okay, my man.
mhm.
So I want to ask you something about these 16 years.
Yep.
Because I think I understand what you mean when you say you didn't get married until after the 19th year. You mean legally, because and before you got married, was any of them years, did you feel like you was married?
We were married together the
Oh,
whole time.
That's my
yeah.
point. That's my point.
Yeah.
And I want to say that out loud. I think people need to understand that you can go down and get the piece of paper. That don't mean you're married to the person. Marriage is like there has to be some activity. There has to be some good. It has to be, you found an institution. It can't just be a piece of paper, And that's the most important aspect
Right.
of the marriage. So, a lot of people are married, see if that connection just don't, it's serious. So
Well,
wow, 35 years, man. And the first thing I'm thinking about, not to make your time sad, but if you look, there's kids that's not even making it to 35 years old.
yeah. Yeah.
You're right.
And you have 35 years of marriage and they can't even get to 20.
Right.
Mhm.
Another issue for another time, but I just have to put
Right.
that little drop out there.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's amazing, man. And I do have another question. I said I would not make it personal. I was wondering, do you come and you don't have to answer. Do you come from a two-parent home, Mr. Paul?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
And
so
and now that you asked that question,
mhm.
my dad passed away this past July, but
I'm
he was
sorry
100.
to hear that.
Thank you. He was
Mhm.
100 years old. And then the other day, was it this week? Either this week, yeah, this past week, my daughter was visiting with my mom, and my mom, it was on my parents' anniversary.
Wow.
So, so my daughter asked, how you doing? She's like, I'm doing all right. Today's our anniversary. And she said, how you feeling? She said, I'm feeling okay. Just just missing one person. She talked about my dad. But then she realized, and then my daughter said she just bust out. My daughter just bust out crying, But she says, they would have been together 55 years.
Mm.
So it's crazy because they got married a year after I was born.
Mm.
So when we look at relationships, that's what I see. I see even though my mom and my mom is my dad's second wife, I see the longevity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you was exposed to a man in the house that could show you some things about how to be a man, right?
A man that showed you how to shake a hand.
Even shaking, right? Going back to that,
Because you have to respect people when you do those kind of things. That's what I learned. Exactly. And now I teach my kids. Now it's my turn to teach my kids that.
Mm-hmm. Right. So I think I wanted to ask that question. The reason why I asked the question, if it's not clear for everybody, the reason why I asked the question is because it was no doubt in my mind the way you carry yourself, the fact you committed 35 years means you was exposed to that, right? Definitely. And so this is what we want to point out. This is what this is about, exposing people to that value. Like, it's generational. Like you could pass on good just as well as you could pass on bad. We've seen a lot of bad being passed on to our youth from the parents. Right. And how do we, that's the root. How do we get the families back together? How do we get these young people valuing couples and love and, and taking care? How do we get those values back? I don't know. This is just probably a drop in the bucket, just talking about it, exposing people. I don't know what else to do with it. But to me, that's the root of our problem. That's why our youth is going wild. They have no parents.
I would agree. I would agree. Our young people need to understand that family is what's going to get you through. Regardless of what you're going through, your family is what's going to get you through. Mm-hmm. So when you start to abandon them, you start to abandon your lifelines to get you through. You see what I'm saying? So, at the end of the day, our young people need to understand that, yeah, mom is here, dad is here, or, mom or dad may not be here, but that doesn't mean that I can't build a relationship with the family that I have. And building those relationships also entails those family members being able to put those young people in check. Let them know that they're doing wrong. Not just co-sign it, not just let it go by, not just help, exacerbate the problem. We have to help them understand that, listen, what you're doing ain't right. Come here, let me talk to you about this. Let me holler at you about that. So that they understand wrong and right, because their friends are going to tell them what they want to hear. Because their friends, more than likely, their friends are doing the same thing. So when you see your child's social media post and you don't like it, you need to have a conversation with them. When you see that there's a picture on there that you don't like, you need to have a conversation about them, because we know in our community, if we don't say something, there's somebody that's going to say something to us about it. And they always have the last say. You know what I mean? So I'd rather us as families come together and tell our loved ones, listen, we need to help you with this. You need to stop doing that. Maybe you need to think about trying this, and give our kids some options and create those lines of communication that help them get through life.
I hear your passion too, man. Did you ladies want to chime in on this topic real quick?
Well, I just wanted to say that I was still quiet because my mind is actually blown that they said that they was together 35 years and they look like they 35. Make it make sense.
Oh, thank you.
Make it make sense. So that's why I'm over here like, wow, that's beauty right there. Like, that's ageless sophistication and grace and mercy that
Because
is
we've been
written
married
all over
35
here.
years.
Wow. And that's all I was really wanted to say. And I guess I wanted to extend the same question for Olivia about, did you come from a two-parent household?
Yes, I did. I had both my parents. They were together for 40 some odd years. They had me late in life. I was the youngest of a family of, two more siblings, so a family of five. Um, I just, I never saw my parents argue. I just know that they were both really hard workers. I know that my father went to work. He brought his paycheck home. My mother would pay the bills. My mother would take care of the home. And so I think that's just seeing them together and the type of life that they built and created for us. I knew that's what I wanted for myself. And when I met James and I met his family, our families were very similar. So I think that just helped us connect and bond. Pretty much raised the same way, I guess.
It's funny she says that. I don't, because our families, well, we've been together so long, but I can't say I don't like anybody in our family. That's true. You know, we have families. You know, you don't like certain people. I can't say that about her family. You know, because we really are close. And it's fun because as we kind of travel, we'll travel to Virginia and visit her cousin. We've been doing it since '94. Now my parents started going down. My brothers, my sisters. So now you know now my family's going down to visit her family once a year. You know, she comes. You know, her family comes to our family reunion. Just it's just crazy. But there's nobody in her family that I would say I don't like. I hate to see
Beautiful. Beautiful. How about you, Sparkle? Do you come from a two-family home?
I do come from a two-parent home.
Family parent.
However, it wasn't my biological dad who raised me. It was my stepfather who I bear his last name actually, and he raised me. And it was different for me from my two-parent household, because I can't say that it was a healthy two-family household, but it was a two-parent household. So I guess it was all about perception. You know. How about yourself?
No. So, you reminded me, Olivia, of my situation. My mother had 4 children before me, and then waited like 16 years. Met my father. They got married. Got pregnant. I guess he wanted a child. I don't know. Got pregnant. Got the child. Had me. So when I was growing up, all my siblings was gone, and what happened was my father got hit by a truck, and so he died when I was 3.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
Right. So, I'm constantly asking myself, what if, right? What if my father was alive throughout my adolescence and teenage years? What, you know, would my life had turned out any different? Would I have been instilled values? Would I have been forced to do some things I didn't want to do that would have helped me in the long run? Like, what if? And this is just one of the things, and it's not just for me. I'm just wondering about, is there any truth to the fact that the odds is against us if we don't have a two-parent house? Not that it's impossible for young adults to come out of a one-parent home and do well, but how's the percentages? So I don't know. That's just my what if to answer that question. Yeah.
But
So
I would agree with what you're saying. The odds are stacked against you because now you got one less set of eyes on you. You know what I mean? But that's kind of why we do what we do in the community, because we can put another set of eyes on somebody's kid when they're not watching. Because even from a two-family home, that doesn't mean that I didn't go astray at some point and do something that my parents didn't know I was doing. You know what I mean? But there was somebody in the community that cared enough about us to kind of keep us on the right path. I tell a story to my kids. I've got a kid that grew up with us, man. We've known him all our life. He stole my brother's first bike. But he's a person that always did. He was always doing bad things. We're good friends, you know what I'm saying, but always doing bad things, to the point where he gets caught up in crime. He's right now he's in prison serving an 82-year sentence. But he sent my parents a Christmas card a few years ago, which out of the blue. His handwriting is impeccable. Cursive writing, it is flawless. But he wrote the card, the letter, and said, thank you, Mr. Paul, for being there, and keeping an eye on me and those kind of things. I know I wasn't always doing the right thing, but you was always there to tell me when I wasn't doing the right thing when you could. Those kind, just saying thank you. But those are the things that, I want to do as a community member, be able to keep an eye on a young person and say, listen, you shouldn't be doing that. Come here, let me help you understand what you need to be doing. Let me see if we can get you headed in the right direction and on the right track, because you have promise. You have promise.
And when we were growing up, not to sound corny, you could start on one end of the neighborhood to the next and cut up and do bad stuff. And by the time you got home, your parent knew about it because somebody has picked up the phone and said, I heard your daughter using some words that you shouldn't be using. And I feel like we could do better in that area. I think we're afraid. We're afraid of that child. We're afraid of that parent. And I wish we could just get back to what I call the good old days, where everybody cared about everybody, everybody looked out for one another and didn't have a problem correcting. Because like James said, there's been some corrections in my life and I'm really thankful for those.
I agree with you, Olivia, so much. But what they tell us is that, oh, that's old school. That's your generation. This is the excuse they use for being lazy, for not working, for laying around the house all day in their 20s and 30s, and that's your generation. We don't do that no more. That's the excuse.
We can change it. We can change it. I always talk about what people would say are unconventional things, but we just need to go back to the basics, like elementary school, middle school, high school. Some of these courses, we don't need them. Why do we need all these study halls? We should be taking opportunity to have, anger management, just general hygiene, financial literacy. Like, I think we need to start looking at some of those things. And we need to start early. We need to start the kids as soon as they hit the door, kindergarten, just some basics. I think it would make a difference. We got to start somewhere.
So this is a good segue. I was going to ask you guys about the Junior Frontiers, and your work with them. I mean, because I would like the public to know the way you're talking. It wouldn't surprise them to know that you're involved with the youth. For real, like you're not just talking here. Like you spend your personal time being involved with the Junior Frontiers. So you guys want to talk about that for a hot minute or so?
So I'll let my wife go first because she actually started working with them before I did.
Okay.
Well, I had a girlfriend introduce me to the Junior Frontiers years ago. I can't even count anymore. I attended a meeting and she never showed up. She never really brought her children. So, but I really liked what I saw. They meet the kids where they are. It really is just about, like James said, being another source for that individual. It's trying to help them maneuver their academics. They're learning about, professions for the future, what they might want to do. It's all about building self-esteem and also trying to teach them about civic responsibility, being out in the community and supporting others. So I love it. I believe in it. I had 2 children that went through the program. I wish my oldest had an opportunity to experience it. I just know based on his characteristics and whatnot, he just would have flourished even more and been a better person if he was involved. We're a program, we're run by all volunteers, so no one gets paid. We welcome all students. We have students that are your top-notch students, that A+, and we have students that come in that are barely passing. We meet you where you are and try to give you what we can give you to be the best that you can be.
That's perfect. Meeting someone where they are is a very difficult thing sometimes to do, right? But Yeah, I just don't know what to say. It's like you guys expose the youth to things, adventures, like you said, civic responsibility, where they're not being exposed to it. If a single parent don't have time for their child, what is the child going to do? Like in my case, my mother didn't have time for me because she was too busy going back and forth to work. And in her 40s, she had me when she was 39, 40. So she's going back and forth to work. By the time she get home, she just want to get in that tub, come down, eat something, and lay it down.
Right.
So when I became a young teenager, I was hanging out in the street at first with kids my age. At first it wasn't bad, but when I started getting to my late teens and starting to want to enter the flesh, right,
Right.
that lower flesh, I grew up in Brownsville, Brooklyn. Never, if you ever heard of it, real bad place in the '60s when it was the first heroin epidemic,
Okay.
and it spawned the Rockefeller laws. That epidemic brought about the Rockefeller laws because he was the governor and he needed to do something. So if you had a loved one, in case people didn't know this, if you had a loved one that was using drugs, you can go to the precinct, sign a petition. They will go and arrest the person, put cuffs on them, and take them to a program,
Mhm.
force them into a program. And it was the Rockefeller program, and
Mm.
force you to go get cleaned up. Now, what you did after that is on you, but your parents or your brothers or sisters, any family could go down there and get you off the street for a while. And I thought that was a good idea. We need to do that with the homeless. Me and Sparkle was talking about that. But I don't want to get away. I just wanted to mention that to you guys.
So James wanted to talk about his
Yes.
experience with the
Hmm.
Junior Frontiers and working with the youth. And then I also want to know, Olivia and James, what was the moment that when you started working with the youth? Was it because of your own children? Was it because something you just passionate about? I'm curious about that as well.
Okay, but James.
Yeah, James wants to.
All right.
Yeah.
So I started working with Junior Frontiers probably a year or two after my wife started. Might have been more than that. And she would always come home. No, mind you, when she started, my daughter was in middle school and going to those meetings. My daughter didn't want to be a part of it, but she dragged her there, kicking and screaming. I don't know. Honestly, that's real talk. Kicking and screaming. She doesn't want to be here. I don't need this. I don't know what it is. My daughter, she was an athlete. She played basketball and soccer. She didn't see the value, but as adults, we see the value. So now, I start going. I go on the first college tour, and my wife went to Howard. She graduated from Howard. I know what an HBCU is, but to get on the campus now with a bus full of colored kids, I call them colored because they're not just people of color. They're not all black. They're not all brown. But you get these young people on a college campus with students that look like them, with backgrounds that are the same as theirs. The staff on these campuses look like them, so their reception is different. They don't feel ostracized. They don't feel like they don't belong. They feel like they should be here because these people are my people. So that kind of sold me on the Junior Frontiers. Now I go every single year, but that when I started with the Junior Frontiers, I had already worked with. I used to manage an academic program in Syracuse City School District, and it worked in inner city kids. They called them at risk, but they had to check certain boxes in order to be in the program. That's not what we do at Junior Frontiers, which I found unique. Not only did I find that unique, they're all volunteers. So none of us get paid. We don't have a single paid position in the organization. So now all the funding that we get can go directly to programming. It doesn't have to pay a salary. And also, when you're doing it this way, you don't have that, oh, that's not my job. I don't get paid to do that because nobody's getting paid to do anything. So we work it out and we make sure everything gets done. But, fast forward a few years, I'm in a Junior Frontiers meeting. And when our community members come to me and was like, you should run for school board. I'm gonna be honest with you. I had no idea what they're talking about. School, because my work in the Syracuse City School District helped me to understand that our young people need help in the district. They need someone to kind of help them and their families get through the day to day in schools. So I knew that part. So our kids didn't have to, we didn't have to worry about that with our kids. The number one
Well, I want to back up
success,
on that.
the number one success for kids in school, I believe, is parental involvement or someone involved in their education that cares about them so that they get what it is they need to succeed. So I said, after being asked, I said, okay, I'll do it. You know, I'll do it. And we start, we start doing that. So I got in the school board, decided to run. I was already part of an organization where we're fighting what the school board is telling us and making up stuff. So, I felt it was my duty now because I do understand how the school districts work. I do understand how they, kind of not help our youth when they could do more. So I decided to run. So that's why I kind of got into the Junior Frontiers because I knew that there's some kids there that need someone to keep their eyes on them. Because if it wasn't for the Boys and Girls Club and me in school, after school every day with someone keeping their eyes on me, because my dad was retired. So my dad was older. He retired. My mom worked B shift. So my dad was home in the evening, but I got a younger sister. So he's, got to keep an eye on her. Me and my brother, we could run the streets, but we were at the Boys and Girls Club, staying out of trouble with somebody, someone in the community, have their eyes on us. You know what I mean? So that's why we do it.
But I wanted to just circle back on something because our kids did have something to do with it. We had experiences in the school district, and it was a learning experience for us. A lot of things, a lot of resources that they were not receiving. And, I thought I was fairly educated and understood what was going on. And I'm like, okay, if you think you're running this game on me, what are you doing to that parent that really doesn't know? And there were situations where, we had to go in there, we had to get other educators, professionals to look over documents and certain things. And they would say, oh, no, that is not right. That's not right. That's not right. And once we were able to go in there and talk about it and articulate it and give them proof that they were not serving us well, they started to listen. So I think some of that gave James the passion to be a part of the school board. And it gives both of us the passion to work in the community and work with some of these students. I mean, even this weekend, I was told some things and I'm like, wow, really? Okay, we're going to have to address it. So I think that's where some of the passion comes from. Just the experiences of our own child having to fight for them to make sure that they were given the opportunities and resources that they should receive. I think that's where it really started.
Wow.
Well, I wanted to respond to that, but do you want to have this comment?
Oh yes, Heather W. Hi Heather.
Yeah.
She's watching. She's watching along with us. At
That's
first,
my
she gave
girl.
us 4 hearts,
That's
Right.
my
and
girl.
so I'm guessing a heart for each of us. And then she says, "I learned how to balance a checkbook in the 7th grade."
Mm, that's interesting.
Financial literacy.
Thank
Right.
you.
Financial
But
Just
literacy.
let
because
me
we have
just,
sense don't mean we got money.
Yeah.
that's funny. You got some money to balance, right?
That's right.
I really want to go back to what you said that everyone is a volunteer for the Junior Frontiers. That is so impressive
Yeah, I didn't
to
know.
me, right? I'm gonna tell you why. Because when you volunteer to do something and you spend your time and sometimes a little bit of money, whatever the case may be, out of your pocket, that means you have a passion for this. Unfortunately, a lot of people that's getting paid to do the work, the agencies that's getting paid to do the work, at 5 o'clock when their shift is over and they go back to Herkimer, Clinton, or Bonneville, or whatever they're going, and when the trouble really starts over here, there's nowhere to be found. And if they are working from 5 to 7, you're getting overtime for it. We need more people with passion. People because we're stakeholders. You have children. We live in the community.
Right.
We're the ones that's supposed to be fighting for this community. That's someone that lives in Herkimer, Clinton, and Bonneville. We live here. We're not even fighting for it.
You're
You
right.
know, and anyway, we're not willing to give anything unless we're getting paid. You know, why am I sure? You know, you want to get paid to save your own community, your own children. Somebody got to pay you to put a couple hours in, really, right? Until those values change. Um, but we kind of running short. I wanted to segue into a question and you could talk about it. So, am I mistaken? Did you run for school board 3 times, James?
Yes, sir.
Talk about that. How did? Because you didn't give up. You didn't give up. Because you finally got voted in, right? You didn't give
I,
up. So talk
I
about
didn't I didn't give up because every single time I knew that I was the best candidate.
that.
How do I get people to understand that I'm the best candidate? If you look at candidate forums, it's not about saying what people want to hear, it's about saying what you know. I am so comfortable talking about educating our young people because it's something that I have done. I wasn't new to the school, school board meetings, and Sparkle can attest to this. We're going to those meetings prior to me running because we had some, we've got some concerns, so I'm already there. I'm listening, I'm learning, I'm hearing people in the community tell me these things because I'm with Junior Frontiers. Now we're hearing these stories about how their kids are being treated or what this school is doing or what the administration is doing. So I have all this information, but then you're dealing with an administration or a superintendent who didn't want to see that happen. So there were some things, some alleged things happening behind the scenes to keep me from getting on the board. But you're right, perseverance is one thing, and being able to have a campaign manager who understood the game. And shouts out to Sarah Reese from IMV, understanding the game, and now we're playing the same game. So when you understand the game, the rules are the same. Just play along the rules and make sure that you understand that, or they understand that you know what's happening here and you can't do what you've been doing. So now we're on the board, and this is an opportunity for our community to have a voice. This is an opportunity for our community to truly say that, we've got someone that will fight for us. We've got someone that just isn't doing this for money. They're not doing this for political, a stepping stone or anything like that. I have no desire to go into politics. You know why? Because I don't want to look at anyone and promise them something and not be able to deliver it. Because at the end of the day, come on, my name is James Paul. There's no one out here with that name. When I look at our family is so small. So anything we do here, I want people to look back and say, the Pauls are okay. I don't want them to question character because I promised them something and I owe somebody else something for this. That's just not how I get through life.
So if you want to say something, there's something that I'm calling a mental virus. And just a quick example is just like you could be online, and I don't know if you see I said this online, but you could be like online waiting for a movie, and the guy said, "Yeah, just for chit chat." Somebody next to you could say, "You know what? A friend of mine said he saw this movie last week, and they said it wasn't all that good. I don't even know why I'm standing on the line, but you still go in, and the first thing you're gonna sit down when you think is, damn, here you go. You're looking out for a bad movie. The virus is just plant that quick, right?" But on a bigger level, this is the school board, right? So you have someone preventing one person with a little influence, preventing you for whatever reason, probably out of fear that you're gonna outshine them more than likely if you get on and break up their little happy home and all the nonsense that was going
Yes.
on. Mr. Karen sleeping, doing meetings, open school board meetings with the public there. First time I went, he was up there sleeping. Really, I gotta keep it official.
Yeah.
That was our school board, but the thing is, one person could piss in another ear and cause you to have to win 3 times, and you probably wouldn't have won if you would have gave up simply based on what somebody else said when they didn't really know you. Probably when they really get to know you, they say, "Well, it's a stand-up man. He's a real man." And I've listened to what somebody else said just because he didn't like him. Now I don't like him, and I didn't even know him. And
Come
we're
on,
so guilty of that as a people, man. As
I'm
a
gonna give you
people.
an instance of that. I sat with the UTA, Utica Teachers Association. They
Mhm.
every year they'll canvass candidates. They'll interview all the candidates. to see who they're going to support. That first year I ran, did well. They supported me. Second year I run, I don't hear a peep out of them. They don't do interviews or nothing. And then the third year I run, during the interview, we're having this great conversation, and someone says to me, "Is it true that you said?" And they were like, "Listen, I'm gonna be honest with you. I was told something. I just want to ask it. I think I already know the answer, but I'm going to ask it. Is it true that you said that only white women can teach black kids?" And I just looked at him and I was like, "No, it's not true." I said, "Because if we truly look at education, most of our teachers are going to be white women." And then a person across the room from them, another one of the interviewees, said, "I heard the same thing." So that was put out there to keep me from getting on the board. But after that interview, I was supported by the UTA, because at the end of the day, they realized that it wasn't true. They knew that that's not the person that was sitting in front of them, and they see it now. And character speaks a lot.
Wow. So you see how important it is? And if you wouldn't have had that opportunity, that virus spreads. People keep
Yeah,
spreading it. Like,
yeah.
and we do it all the time to one another. I'm just realizing, like, you know, even in relationships, and we're going to come back to relationships, we find that, like, if I got a bunch of friends that don't have a woman, and I'm like, yo, I'm going, man. My girl went from, you always want to go home,
Right.
and she got control over you, and you need to be a man. That's the vibe,
Yeah.
like, right. And then I piss. You ain't gotta go home to her. I do, right?
Right. Right.
So
Right.
now I have to face the music. I let them piss in my ass. None of them have to go home. They're not committed to nothing but themselves.
Right.
And we find it vice versa. Women too, like, they piss in the girlfriend's ear about that. Or the other thing is they complain about their men so much, and you hear that so much that then that woman comes to her man, start looking at him like, absorbing all that stuff. So I just think there's a couple viruses that we need to identify floating around amongst us. And hate is a strong one too. We don't like ourselves, man. We hate ourselves, man, as a people. As a result, we're killing ourselves. Individuals out there killing themselves. They don't even love themselves. But that's another story for another time. Did you guys have anything?
Well, I did have a question
Sorry.
for the couple. I want to know. So you said you were together for 19 years and then 35. In your beginning stages, you were young. But say when maybe when you got to about your 30s or 40s, how did you handle other people flirting with your significant other? Like, I want to know. What advice would you offer a new couple like Kamal and I are going on June? Actually, ironically enough, June 19th, Freedom Day will make 3 years for us, and I still struggle with that a little bit. So I want to
Congratulations.
know, how do y'all handle that, and what advice would you give a new couple?
First of all, I'm going to tell you like this. Personally, there's no room for that with me. Meaning, what I'm not going to do is allow another man to think that there's any chance. Let's be clear about something. If there's any chance that you're going to say something to my wife, and I get wind of it and don't check you about it, we're not going to play those games at all. I'm be real about it, because that's not what we do. And it's funny you say that. When I start working at this organization, this youth organization, back in 2000, and because of the women that were there, I started wearing a ring. I wasn't married, but I want that. I want that to be the buffer, so I don't have to have some of the conversations with anyone about where my love is. You know what I mean? I don't want you to come to me like, "How you doing?" I'm good. How you doing?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I don't want that to be misconstrued, but also helping to ease the questioning from your significant other. being where you're supposed to be. At the end of the day, my wife knows where I'm going to sleep every single night. There's no concern. I'm sorry, I'm speaking for me. She might have some, but I'm just there's no concern about where he's at. You may call and I might not answer. That's something different. I might not answer a text. That's something different. But at the end of the day, Utica is so small. There's not and we've gotten to a point where a lot of people know us after 25 years in the community. There's not a chance that you can do what you want to in this community and nobody sees it and then nobody says anything about it. Mm-hmm. It's not worth the risk. Life is too short. It's not worth the risk. It's, like I said, we've known each other longer than we haven't. So where are we going after this?
But in addition to that, before you go, Olivia, in addition to that, you know, the woman's gonna say, I don't care if you got a wife, I ain't gonna say nothing. Listen, I just want a friend or whatever. I just need somebody. And then her feelings start getting involved. Next thing you know, she's doing things on purpose to make sure that your wife know, right? So,
but listen,
because these are souls. I mean, these are two souls are connecting. And no matter if you start out just saying we just want to be a booty call, eventually feelings get involved. So
I understand that, but see, once you take it beyond disrespecting the ring, married or not, because at the end of the day, they don't know. But once you take it beyond that, you have no respect for the person that I love. There's no reason for me to give you any time because that's just this time. What happens the next time? And like you said, what happens when you start planting seeds of doubt? And my wife be like, wait a minute, which one caller just texted you or called you? She said that y'all got a work thing, but then y'all didn't go to work. And she sent the pictures, y'all out eating wings somewhere. We don't have to do that. And that makes life so much easier. It really does make life so much easier when that's one thing you don't have to worry about.
Mm. What about you, Olivia?
I would like to hear what Olivia has to say.
Boy,
you thinking way too long.
Come on, give me the question again.
So the question, it was really Sparkle's question. So I will present it to you because she presented.
Well, Sparkle, what was the question?
The question is, how do you handle, if any, women flirting with your husband, in front of you possibly, or you had a feeling that they were flirting in front of you or behind your back? How did you handle that? I guess that's the question.
And what advice would you two offer a young couple on how to cope with that?
Right, all right.
Okay, well, honestly, I really haven't had to deal with that too much because we basically have just said to each other, we can't do that. We can't afford to do that.
Right.
And, communication is key. We don't want to go down that tangled web. And so, what I would say for a young couple, if you're together and you claim you love one another, you care for one another, then you have to treat each other with respect. And part of that respect is just not flirting. Sure, sometimes I'll say, like I've said, what's his name? I can't even think.
I don't know.
You do know. Buffalo Bills.
Josh Allen?
Yeah, last week I said, oh, Josh Allen, he's so cute. He said,
oh, really?
That's so funny.
Because he reminds me of one of my son's friends. I'm like, oh, I just like him. He's so cute. He's like, like that. But we've never really had to deal with anything serious. So I would just say, be careful, be mindful, respect one another, and communication. If you feel in some kind of way and something feels off and not right, don't let it just like build up and fester inside. You have to have that conversation immediately.
Right.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think that a lot of women are uncomfortable telling a man that he's not exciting her, not pleasing her, not romantic enough. For some it's just easier to go out, the next thing you know, they looking at these other advances and they're becoming more appealing because they're not being satisfied at home. Instead of communicating, like you said, Olivia, they we take the easy way because that's work. Sometimes it's awkward. Sometimes it may not even be received well.
Right.
And it's unfortunate. So we need to be mindful of just giving the man the benefit of the doubt. Approach him.
Mhm.
Tell him, listen, this, that, and the third. And baby, it's just amazing that you guys have that and you're standing on those principles. And we need more examples like that.
It's really exciting.
Mhm.
So now that we're almost to the close, we have a few minutes left here. I wanted to talk about your union together, because as a result of your union together, you were able to produce some children, and I
Yeah.
want you guys to take a moment and talk about that, because when people talk about fruits of labor, I feel like children are a little bit of like a fruit of a labor, right? Like the love that you pour into a child, or being a laborer of love, I feel like shows in our offspring. So please share with us how many children from your union, and speak a little bit about that.
Mhm.
Well, we have three children. We have a 32-year-old. He was conceived a couple of years into our relationship. Once we knew we were serious about one another. I think it was 6 years later, we had our daughter. She is 25 and she'll be 26 later on this year. And then our last, he just turned 21 this past October. So we have three adult children now.
Mhm.
Let me put this in the context for you, though. With my wife's job at the time, she moved. So when we were young, she moved. Well, or not she. We moved to Albany. Serious about one another, like she said. All of our kids were playing. So we, there's no surprise. All of our kids were playing. We were in Albany. New, don't know nobody. You get real close to you get real close to who you know. So with that, our son was born in Albany. We moved from Albany to Buffalo. Don't know nobody. You get real close again. And our daughter was born in Buffalo. Then we moved to Utica. We've been there 25 years and stopped having kids. We had got Mason was born here. No more kids because
Right.
now you got things to do. You meet people. You're growing up, and there's other things outside the house. Doesn't keep you from coming home at night, but at the end of the day, our kids were playing. Um, great kids, not great kids, great adults, young adults now. But they see what we've done. They see what their grandparents have done. They see what their aunts and uncles go through, and they're good people. They're good kids. I call them kids because they're our kids.
So I just want to say before this is over, and we need maybe a few 10, 15 more minutes. I don't know, but
We good.
um,
We good.
that for me, and I know speaking of Sparkle, I'm gonna be processing this tonight and the next few days because you guys are so inspiring
Yes.
for me.
Yes. Yes.
We're getting something out of this more than anybody. You know, having this collaboration, this conversation. We're getting a lot out of it, but prayerfully, um, you guys planted some seeds out there. Oh, we got sirens going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Prayerfully, you planted some seeds for people to think about, to consider when it comes to staying together, the longevity, your work in the community, the volunteering. We need, if it's not just one seed here, one seed there, because it definitely is important, man, that we're involved with the stakeholders, and there's no doubt that you guys are involved, not just with your children, you raised three beautiful ones, but you're involved with, you know, the
Yes,
children,
the
right?
community foundation.
Yeah. We want to let's give it to them
Yes,
for
yes.
sure.
Olivia,
We go late.
so exactly, better late than never. We got about 3 minutes left here.
But no
So
rush, we could go 5 or 10.
yeah,
Yeah.
we definitely
We
can.
good.
If you guys have an extra 5 minutes to
Sure.
hang out with us,
Sure.
of course we
Sure.
can.
Sure. This is
Sure.
fun.
So I wanted to talk about your work at the community foundation, because when Kamal just sparked up in my mind, like we have to be stakeholders. Like that's a really big deal to be there and at your role. Like I have the privilege of even calling you and hearing your voice and saying, "Hi, this is Olivia from the Community Foundation." I started to get excited and inspired at the same time. Tell us more about that.
So, yes, I've been with the Community Foundation probably 3.5 years.
Mhm.
Started out on their Equity Advisory Committee. This was a group that was formed shortly after the whole incident um, with George Floyd and what went on there. Really just looking at that whole situation and how they could have an impact. So a group was formed and we had different discussion points with different individuals in the community. And then that led to a different role, becoming the director of community engagement. So basically, my role today is working with the nonprofit agencies to kind of help them fulfill their missions. It's not necessarily always about funding. Sometimes it might just be connecting with them with different resources in the community,
Okay.
bringing them together to collaborate on certain issues. We know that a lot of organizations today kind of work in silos, and we need to try to break those down so that we can work together for the greater good.
Mhm.
So I really enjoy being there. I enjoy being able to give back in that way. Um, and it's a good place to work. It's a good culture. The people there are great to work with. They all feel passionate about the work they're doing and what they're contributing. Another big piece to that is I'm working with a team of people on a strategic initiative. Not, I'm sure you all have heard about it, the Cornhill Project.
Yes.
Mhm.
We are working with Mid Utica Neighborhood Preservation Corp, the Collective Impact Network, the Municipal Housing Authority, and trying to collaborate on what we're calling impact centers. We know, James mentioned Boys and Girls Club. We don't have that in our community anywhere. We don't have any um, community um, organization or buildings, let me put it that way, where we can come together and work out of. Yes, we have Junior Frontiers, we have Rebuilding the Village, we have Cornhill Cares, but we don't have what I'm going to say a center where everybody can come together and work together. Somewhere where our children, our seniors, the whole community can come together and be proud of. So I'm proud to be working on that initiative too. So,
Right.
stay engaged. I know you all have been informed, you've been around, and we could talk about that another time, but
Mhm.
I'm pleased to be a part of that project as well.
That's great. Yeah. So I don't know if you into football, Jack.
Football, yes. My Bills
Yeah.
lost this week, so and Baltimore lost tonight.
Oh,
Kansas City,
Yeah,
Kansas City.
but there's a game one. It's supposed to be a game one. I guess I'll catch the second half. I'm not rushing, but I just want to say, like, sometimes I feel like an hour's not enough. This is one of those times. Maybe we could get you guys back and talk about some other stuff in the
Sure,
community.
sure.
I don't, I don't. I'm just trying to do what I can. This is social media. This is where I seem to fit in at.
Okay.
Um, for now, and I'm not gonna let anyone or anything stop me from trying to share what I feel is a little bit of insight from life experience with people. So this is the way to do it. But man, this has been such a pleasure. I think it's
Yes.
overdue. Like we should have been got together and had a cup of coffee or something, man. We be playing, right?
Right.
But this also gives us opportunity to kind of get to know one another because we
Yes,
kind of
yes,
see just not the
yes,
same, but we get to know one another,
yes,
right? So maybe we will have a cup of coffee or
yes.
something and
absolutely.
dance a
Let's
couple,
do it. Let's do it.
Absolutely. But that's it for me. I don't know.
So do you Pauls have any closing remarks?
Mhm.
Any words of affirmation or encouragement for young couples or couples who might be struggling to stay together? Um, Anything that you would like to say in general?
Mm-hmm.
I do, and it's funny because my wife and I kind of like, okay, what kind of questions are they going to ask? How are we going to answer this? How are we going to answer that? But one thing that we agree upon is space and time, meaning we may have a disagreement, a blow up, an argument, whatever you want to call it, but being able to walk away from each other. I sleep on the couch, she sleeps somewhere else. It might be a day, two, three. Then, like she said to me tonight, then we'd be like, okay, what's for dinner? But then she was like, then we're in each other's face, like, trying to regurgitate everything that happened, because we wasn't talking to each other for a few days. But I think that allows us to really settle, because you can always escalate things, escalate, and you still have to come back to the ground. And I think that time apart does it. It's not, oh, I'm going to my mama house, you need to get out of here. It's not that. It's that, we come to understand that, okay, after 35 years, I'll be like, let me go get my blanket, go and get on this couch right here. And we, in a few days we'll be all right. But being able to do that and not hold on to it so long really, really helps. Time and space. Sometimes we need that space, but because we're so active in the community, we get a lot of that, away. And then, when we're sometimes we get together and we shouldn't be together right now, and we get away again because that's our own doing. But just some time and space, and being able to move away from each other for a little while and realize that it's not all that bad. It's not all that bad.
Trust me, it has not been perfect. I mean, 34 years, it's a long time. It's been some ups and downs. But like he said, sometimes you just have to walk away. He knows if I go in that bedroom and he hears that door close and that latch.
Not the latch. You lock him out too? Not the latch.
And it might be a few days. And it's funny because somebody might call and say, I need you and James to do XYZ, or can you talk to James? I'm like, not right now. But it's so funny because you come around, next thing I know, I'll get a text or he'll get a text like he said, okay, what we having for dinner? Where you want to go? Okay, we need to go grocery shop. And then it's like, okay, I've calmed down. It's time to move forward. And I just say the biggest thing is communication. When I see something I don't like, I speak up. If I feel like, you know what, you haven't told me my hair looked nice. I got a haircut. You didn't say my hair looked nice. I'll let them know. And they'll say, oh, okay. It looks nice and we're good. So, you do have to flatter one another sometimes. But if you're in it to win it, you just respect one another and communicate and stick with it. There's going to be good times and bad times, but you just hang in there.
And keep your stuff in the house. No, real talk. What you'll never see from us is us out somewhere arguing in the street, arguing in a meeting, going at each other, or somebody say, how's everything going? I could have slept on the couch the past 2 days. Oh, everything cool. Right. You'll never hear, oh man, I done slept on the couch the past 2 days. My wife tripping. She got the bedroom door locked and all that. We not doing that. we not doing that, because at the end of the day, that only helps someone else paint a picture of my wife that they don't know her. You know what I mean? And what I'm not going to allow anyone else to do is say they having problems. And then you get the stuff we were talking about earlier come all with, oh yeah, I hear you and your wife, if you ain't happy, come see me. We ain't going there. We don't have to worry about those.
So Sparkle has a term she calls the monkey mind. We have another term called letting our thoughts take wings. So that's what kind of happens when we have this separation. So we separate, And so we got this monkey mind going, and we thinking of all these reasons why they're wrong and we're right, and how can he do this? And we
Wow.
letting our imagination go, like,
Yeah.
he didn't compliment me on my hair. Is he seeing somebody else? Is he looking at why he ain't compliment? It could go in so
Yeah.
many different directions once this mind, this monkey mind, decides it wants to take it and put wings on it and go and fly away with it. But you know what we found is that we would go maybe a couple days with space, but now we
Mhm.
we make up like an hour.
Yeah.
So we
Yeah.
have improved our time of coming back because we're not in that place where we have to remain upset with each other anymore. And
Right.
that's just go through the relationship. But sometimes you do need that processing time.
Yeah.
Sometimes you just might say, you know what? I'm not in the mood right. I'm just going through something. We sometimes, I guess, in third, you can identify it in your partner to the point. So, what's wrong with you? And then you give them a little space. I would work it out, or she
Mhm.
work it out, or whatever.
Yep.
But anyway.
So I know one thing that I've learned from you two, and which was a major takeaway for me,
Mhm.
that I think that will help us, is the fact that they were together for so many years before they got married.
Mm.
While I'm over here like, well, how long is it gonna take you to find out that I'm her? So thank you too for that. Because I'm like, how do I ask them? How long did it take before he had? So you guys told us, and that helped me to feel a little bit more secure about us, because it does feel like we're already married because I'm committed, he's committed, but sometimes I kind of get a little, I guess,
Right.
yeah, but
Well,
that helped me.
I'm gonna be vulnerable and I'm gonna tell you something. So I don't even know if we would have got married when we did, because we were kind of looking like we're committed, we're in this, we're family.
Mm.
It's just a piece of paper. Um, Boy, it's gonna cost a lot of money. We don't want to spend all that money for people just to come and end up talking about us anyway. We could just
Ah,
do something. We can have
after
a
eating your
we can
food,
have a
right?
backyard cookout and have fun. But we really got married because James was in the military for 27 years. And at one
Wow.
point, he had to go away to Afghanistan to fight in the war. But he didn't end up having to go. But in preparation for that, he said, "You know what? We need to go make this
Mm.
legit and get it on paper, because God forbid something happens. I want you and the kids to be taken care of." So that's what we did.
Right,
But
right.
and not only that, the craziest thing about it is realizing that there are benefits to marriage that you just don't understand until you're married. We were
Mm.
paying to healthcare. I
Mm.
had my own healthcare plan. She had the kids on the family plan. Why are we doing this? We live in the same house. We see the same doctor. I take the kids. It doesn't, that
Right,
just didn't make sense. When it's time to do the taxes, you paying over there, I'm paying over here. It just don't make sense.
right.
And we're doing the same stuff.
Right.
But like you said, it was out of necessity, or it would, I can't say we'd probably still be down the
Yeah.
road talking about we ain't married. I'd still be wearing that ring like I am.
Right. Yeah, that's beautiful. I just think that too, like you said, in some cases you really care about something. It's kind of insurance for the person, like, um, to leave them something, to have something for them if you really care. And if she is your wife, if you're looking at it, you're married to this person, then you want to make sure, vice versa, that, it could be something happens to her, and then, um, because it's funky. Like a person can know you together 35 years, but if you're not legally married, all your family gonna come out. No, but I'm entitled to this, and I'm entitled. You're entitled to something. Y'all didn't even speak for 30 years. Now you want something and
Right.
make a legal issue out of it. Might even be entitled to it.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
gets funky, and then the person is resting in peace. We out here fighting over material things, you
Right.
know.
You're right.
So that way it solves all that problem. It's not.
Yeah. Yeah.
But anyway, guys, man, it's the problem is like I feel like we can go and flowing, but the problem is getting someone to watch our video, so
Right.
we're hour and
Yes.
10 minutes.
Yes,
Like,
sir. Yes, sir.
but
Agreed.
you know, but people, we've had like 700 views of these our videos so far, and
Good.
I'm like amazed. Like 700 people watch this video. You know how hard it is to get somebody to watch our video?
Yeah.
But if it's interesting enough, they're gonna watch. If it's relevant enough, we have the 38% of our viewers. We have like 3,000 in the last 90 days. 38% is from Utica.
Beautiful. That's
That's
beautiful.
viewing, in
Yeah.
case you want to know. And we just found this out. And then the next is New York City, but we can wind it down.
Yeah, so I'm getting a feeling that this show will be a high watch video because
Oh,
because
yeah.
the audience and these are local celebrities,
Yeah.
even though they don't know it.
Yeah.
Can I get your autograph ahead of time? So
No.
this is. I just want to take the opportunity to thank you all for watching at home or wherever you are. You know, best wishes and best regards. So this is Reality Speaks TV, which is real people
With real talk.
and real time.
And thank you so much, man. We'll be in touch.
Thank y'all.
Thank you.
Good people
See you
doing good
soon.
things.
Yes.
Y'all
Thank
guys
you.
is perfect guests.
Yes.
Perfect. Thank you.
Good night, everyone.
Good
Until
night,
next
y'all.
time.
Thank you.
Mhm.